One of the fundamental rules of practicing is this. Before you sit to practice, you need to decide what you're aiming for. Here's an example. Let's say we're practicing scales. A clear objective might be you're going to practice scales, your major scales, hands separately, 1 octave at 60 beats per minute. See how clear and concise and simple that is? It has a very targeted outcome. Welcome back, folks. In this course, we're going to be talking about practicing. How do you practice? And it has come to my attention that a lot of people actually don't know how to practice. And that's my fault. This should have been the very first course I created, 8 years ago when I started this website. But if I'm being honest, it never occurred to me that I was taught how to practice. I spent 9 years in university. I was taught how to practice by countless teachers, being in an environment with other students, attending dozens and dozens of masterclass and workshops and stuff like that. So even though none of my classes were how do you practice, none of my class had that title, but I learned how to practice through various means. And so I realized that a lot of you who have never really had formal training or taken piano lessons may not know how to practice, or you might be doing some things that is actually hurting your progress as it relates to practicing. So while this course might be late, here it is. I'm glad that I was able to get around to it. And so in this course, we're going to be focusing on how to practice so that you make progress, because there is a specific way and specific goals and objectives that you need to shoot for. That's what differentiate practicing from just having jam sessions. All right, so stick around for that. In this first lesson, we're going to focus on something that sounds simple, but it changes everything. The difference between practicing and just playing, or what we call jamming. Because a lot of times you sit at the piano and you think you're practicing, but you're really just playing whatever comes to mind. And that's not always a bad thing, but you need to know what you're doing when you sit at the piano, because those two mindsets have two very different results. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand the difference between practicing and playing, know why practice needs an objective every time. Every time you sit to practice, you need an objective. How to create simple practice objectives to follow, or to follow those practice objectives laid out in the practice path. So you can stop leaving the piano feeling like you did not gain enough from your practice session. But also you can decide before you start whether you're practicing or you're jamming. So that's what we're going to cover in this lesson. So what is the difference between practicing with an objective and practicing without an objective? Here's a simple way I would say it. When you're practicing, you're working towards an objective, a goal, something specific. When you're just playing, you're usually playing what you already know. We're regurgitating stuff, we're playing around, executing some ideas. It's a creative flow, right? So if you sit down for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, doesn't matter how long you sit to practice, you should have one question in mind before you touch those keys. What am I trying to achieve right now? Because without an objective, it is easy to just play the first thing that comes to mind. And the next thing you know, 20 minutes pass, you feel busy, but you didn't really move forward. It's kind of like your car stuck in the mud, or furthermore, for those of you who lived in the north, your car stuck in the snow and you're pressing that gas pedal, you're spinning, you're revving, but the car's not going anywhere. So that's the similar thing when you sit to practice without an objective. Again, when you sit to practice, when you say, I'm going to be practicing, but you have no idea what you're shooting for, what your objective is. 20 minutes pass and you gain nothing in those 20 minutes. One of the fundamental rules of practicing is this. Before you sit to practice, you need to decide what you're aiming for. That's why the practice path is so helpful and powerful, because every category and every session has an objective. It tells you what to practice, how to practice, and when to move on. So you can mark those sessions completed and know that you're actually marking it complete. You're making progress. It's not just an action, but you have acquired new skills that you can show for the work that you put in. Here's an example. Let's say we're practicing scales. A clear objective might be you're going to practice scales, your major scales, hands separately, 1 octave at 60 beats per minute. See how clear and concise and simple that is? It has a very targeted outcome. What scale you're working on? The major scale. How are you going to be practicing it? hands separately. We're going to do in one octave. So we're even creating confinement there. We're not trying to go from one end of the keyboard to the other, right? How fast we're going to practice it? 60 beats per minute. So every time you sit to practice a particular task, those should be how you define what the objective is. Now, noticing nowhere in that objective, we talk about perfection, right? Right here, perfection, no. That should have an X right in it right there. We're not trying to perfect it. We're aiming for that, right? Depending on where you are in your skill level, your objective might take a few days to accomplish, a few weeks to accomplish, or even a few months. I would say if your objective is taking a few months, maybe you need to simplify the objective, right? The goal is we want to be able to set an objective that we can achieve somewhat relatively quick, right? We don't want to have that delayed gratification extend for too long, because that in itself can be a little bit discouraging. So no, this doesn't just apply to scales. Every category, and again, if you're looking in the practice path, you notice every category, we have a set of objectives. Scales, arpeggios, block chords, broken chords, ear training. There are specific things that we have laid out as a guide, right, for you to aim for. And you work on that. Each time you sit and you're working on that skill, you're going towards that objective. Now, being on just practice mode all the time can get a little bit burnt out. And let me explain what I mean. Take diet, for example. Most of us at some point have probably said, you know what, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to remove carbs from my diet for a while, or I'm going to go vegetarian for a while. There are different types of diets, different ways we can approach it. You know, some people do calorie deficits. That's one of my favorite. Whenever I realize I need to drop a few pounds, calorie deficit tends to work for me. However, if you're just in calorie deficit mode, or you're like on no carbs mode indefinitely, you get burnt out. You get tired, right? So you got to have a little cheat day. Every now and then, you know, you might slide back those calories up. You might put that carbs back. It's the same thing with practice. You see, because practice is so deliberate and focused, because you're aiming towards an objective, there's a certain level of restrictions, a restriction you're putting on yourself. That restriction for too long gets a little bit monotonous. You know, you need something different. And that's why jam sessions, which is the other side of this, or just playing, comes in handy. That's where we're taking the restrictions off. We're sitting at the piano with zero objective. We're just playing, we're having fun, we're exploring, we're improvising, we're trying to find just find new ideas. Because remember, music is an art. There's a creative aspect to music. So even though we get into weeds and we talk a lot of theory and technique and all of this sort of meticulous approach, music is also art. And when we sit to jam and just play around, that's what we're exploring, the artistic side of music. And that is the equivalent of like, let me put some carbs back in. My cheat day, I'm going to go eat a bucket of ice cream with some cake, right? That's not going to be what you're going to be eating every day, because you're on a certain diet, right? But every now and then, you know, having some fast food, you know, some junk food, a giant burger that has 2,000 calories, every now and then, those little cheat days, you know, just to be able to just let go and just live a little bit, so to speak. Do that for your practicing as well. Because if you're in just that religious sort of regimental mode of practice, that you get burnt out after a while. So throw in those jam sessions every now and then when you feel it, right? But then remember that your practicing should be occupying about 60-70% of your time spent at the piano. That's where the progress is made. So again, just remember, jam sessions are about creativity. They help you dig deep and explore ideas. They're messy. They're not structured. And that's fine, because that's the point, right? But you still want to be clear on what you're doing. Are you jamming or are you practicing? Sometimes you can start out a practice session with a jam, get in the groove. You spend 15 minutes, you just jam and groove, and then you transition into more structured practice. Or it could be the other way around. You start off with the structured practice, and then you transition eventually into more jam session. The goal is to be aware of what segment you're focusing on. Am I jamming or am I practicing? because a lot of us don't know the difference. And that's why we get stuck and frustrated. Practicing is the structured time. Practicing is where you hit milestones. Practicing is where you build real skills. So now that you know the difference between jam sessions and practice sessions, now let's jump to lesson 2, where we're going to talk about how to practice the right way.